underestimate the power of PlayStation.
Colin, how would you like a topic of the week? Chains. Mr. Cruz writes in and says, Beyond.
Beyond.
I was wondering, how are your feelings towards PS4's first year on the market? Good, bad, or mixed? If you'll allow me, here are my top 2 low and high moments. Mr. Cruz, low moments. 1. This is the low moment. The rubber peeling off my DualShock 4 thumbsticks. At this time I'm writing this, I will be sending out my pair for launch controllers for repair. Sony in the third freaking time. Sort it out. Construct sentences, Mr. Cruz. You sort it out. The weak fall exclusive lineup compared to Microsoft or Nintendo. His high moments. Infamous Second Son's launch. Playing PT the night it came out. Thanks, guys, Mr. Cruz.
Thanks, Mr. Cruz.
PlayStation 4. It celebrated its 1-year anniversary over the weekend, Saturday.
Never heard of it.
It's official day. What?
Wow.
What do you think of it, Colin? How was the first year of the PlayStation 4?
Awesome. I think that I think context is really important for PS4. The launch lineup, I think, was really good. Especially when you consider PS3's launch lineup, although it had Resistance Fall, man. And PS2's launch lineup especially, which had a ton of games that no one wanted to play.
That was awful.
Silent Scope.
It was like Fantavision and Smuggler's Run.
Madden.
There was a couple sports games, Summoner.
Kessin
was on there, which I think I brought back. I think I brought
Silent Scope back.
I think I bought 3 games and bought them all back.
Wow.
Because I got Summoner, and I was like, I don't know about this.
So I was waiting for that bouncer.
The Bouncer was a good game. Onimusha was really the first game that came to PS2 where I was like, I really like this game.
Dark Cloud and Twisted Metal.
Oni was the one I was pinning my hopes to. I'm like, this is a game for
Bungie,
me.
you're
This
gonna
is
do it
gonna
for
do
me.
it. And I was like, ugh.
Yeah, Dark Cloud was really good. Metal Gear was obviously early. Metal Gear Solid 2.
That was the one. That was when it
by
all
then
started.
it was just like, all right.
That and GTA is just
now
when
there's just good games.
Yeah. Then and PS1's launch lineup was abysmal. So unless you like Battle Arena Toshinden. So it's like when you look at the launch lineups, the only PlayStation hardware that's ever had a better launch lineup is Vita, and the only hardware that I can think that ever had better launch games for it might have been, I don't know, like when you consider the SNES had Super Mario World, like at the word go, that's pretty
that's
awesome.
The same thing with N64, whereas I'm like, Mario 64 is one of the greatest games of all time, but also the only other 2 games were Cruis'n USA and Pilot Wings.
Yeah, there was only 2 or 3 games for N64 for like a month and a half. So with that context, the launch lineup was really good. We got Killzone, which I think is a great game. We got Knack, which wasn't. We got Resogun, which is still the best game on the console, and then we had all of these third-party games.
Assassin's Creed.
Flag was great. Yeah.
DC Universe Online.
One of the things
It's a good.
I know. I'm just being.
Claw your eyes out.
Oh, you gotta write something.
I'm gonna write it down. You're gonna get under my skin, Modi.
One of the things I wrote about this, and I don't know if this op-ed's ever going to go up because it's kind of in limbo right now. I think it's being edited. But one of the things I wrote about was like how PS4 won its first year was by doing everything right before it came out. And so all of the mistakes that PS4 has made, and there's been a lot of mistakes with PS4. I mean, there are a dearth of exclusives. I don't think anyone can deny that. This is a barren fall. Drive Club was a disaster. Little Big Planet's not working for a lot of people. There's no big AAA game that everyone that you would want for the fall, which was probably supposed to be The Order. So there's a lot of problems, but everything goes back to the cadence they set in February of 2013, and then went through E3 and everything like that, hitting all the right notes, so that people have a satchel full of forgiveness for him, Greg.
Yep.
As opposed to the PS3, the mid PS3 early, especially in mid PS3 days when it was like, what the hell is going on with this thing? Why is it so expensive? Where are the games? Why do third-party games look so bad? So I think the PS4 has been it's an awesome machine. I also think the indies have been awesome. There's always a game to play on it. I think we just have to be a little more patient, unfortunately, for the exclusives, and that starts with The Order, and that starts with Bloodborne. And then we're going to get smaller ones like The Witness, and everybody's gone to The Rapture and all those kinds of things. So
I feel like on the back half of the summer is when it really came into its own, where I felt like I could finally put away my PS3 and actually play my PS4. You know what I mean? Because that was the thing, is like at launch, boom, there was Assassin's Creed, there was this, there was that, Infamous. Okay, great. But I really felt like you get that new system, you're so excited to use it, and I felt like I would be jumping right into it and twitching everything and doing this, and then that didn't happen. It was like, well, I got to keep playing the PS3 for this DLC or this game, or here's Walking Dead, or that's the, there's this, there's South Park, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then finally when those games started to end, it felt to me like next gen, in quotes, started picking up when there was all these indie games to play. There were big games coming.
Yeah. I mean, that's how, I love both my PS4 and my Xbox One. My PS4 is my indie and third party console right now,
Yeah.
and my Xbox One is my first party. I mean, that's why I've been playing Sunset Overdrive and Master Chief Collection and Forza Horizon 2.
Yeah.
Which I think is great. I mean, and Microsoft, like you said, like Sony sort of won this first year by everything they've done beforehand, whereas like Microsoft had to, sort of, I don't know, swallow a bit of the crud and then just be like, hey, this is how we're going to fix the system. They've done a great job of it. And both consoles are selling like crazy. It's awesome. Yeah. Next year will be better.
Yeah, I mean, I think if all things were equal pre-launch and there was no advantage because PS4 had this a significant advantage over Xbox One at launch, just based on the situation at hand. Xbox is, has the better library and in terms of exclusives and a nice ecosystem of third-party games to satisfy people. But that was really the big thing with Forza and with Sunset and with Halo this fall. There's nothing that really matches that on PlayStation 4 in terms of exclusives. Drive Club could have done that, but Drive Club doesn't work. Little Big Planet 3, I don't count as a AAA exclusive for PS4 because it's also on PS3.
Yeah.
Just the same reason I don't count The Last of Us as a PS4 game because it's not. I mean, it is, but that's a PS3 game. So in terms of games you can only play on those consoles, like Halo doesn't work either apparently, but that's the pretty considerable game to get to whet people's appetites for Halo 5, which is going to be a huge game. So I actually think that and now that the Xbox One's price is lower again to $350. They're going to start to tighten a lot. I actually think Xbox One will outsell PS4 for the first time this year in November. And
for that Christmas holiday, Black Friday.
Yeah, and they just have the price advantage now, and they have the
100%.
games. I mean,
this was, coming into it, right? It was Xbox's race to lose, and they lost that initial race in terms of like messaging what was happening, blah blah. And now it's to the point of like everybody's always like the PlayStation 4 is selling so well, it's kicking the crap out of Xbox. Like, it's ahead of Xbox, but Xbox is still selling incredibly well. As you know what I mean? Like lowering the price, doing all these different things, and changing your messaging. Right? Like they've been awesome at their messaging, being like, all right, now we're about games. Sorry about all that crap. Let's go.
How clear of a sort of path do you think Sony will paint at PSX in terms of 2015? Because 2015, we know we have early in the year we have Bloodborne and The Order, and then we know possibly at some point later in the year we have Uncharted.
They say
Uncharted is
Uncharted
2015.
I mean,
I personally find that tough to
I agree. I agree 100%.
The same thing about Smash Bros. Wii U. That didn't work out well for me.
Got to give those stakes sometime.
So I mean, how do you think it'll be? I mean, will it be an indie-heavy conference, or do you think they'll announce some things, date some things, some?
I think they might make some bigger announcements. I hope it's an indie-heavy conference because that's the stuff that's really important. I think, like to the ecosystem itself. You get into the door with Uncharted. But Uncharted's not going to keep you in the door. It's not going to keep you satisfied because it's impossible for their studios to make enough games to keep you totally satisfied. You need all of these smaller games, and these smaller games are really, really becoming very important.
There is a keynote, right, or whatever.
Yeah, there is.
So I mean, you figure that you go around the 4 pillars of next year, right? So you start with Bloodborne, as it's probably the closest, right? Or is it Order?
No, the Order is the closest.
Order, I can't remember the flip with the delay. So Order, you start with the trailer, then you put stuff in the middle there, whether it be indies or Vita or whatever. Then you come out with Bloodborne, then another indie, another thing here. Then the other one we just talked about that I've already forgotten. No, Uncharted. I want to end with. Actually,
we haven't talked about anything because there's no third. We don't.
There's
well,
no
that's
third
the
AAA
reveal.
game.
So the third is your AAA reveal, and then the fourth is Uncharted.
Yeah.
And a date, maybe.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm most excited to see these smaller games. Like that's the one thing PlayStation 4 is just murdering Xbox in terms of just like there are games every week coming to PS4 and to Vita that are quality indie games that will that if you just open your mind will keep you very busy.
And a ton of them are free if you have
and PlayStation Plus. So it's like they're killing them in that respect, and I think that's one of the things that's their ability to see ahead and to say like our studios aren't making us enough money. We had to shut some of these studios down. Our second party relationships aren't bearing a lot of fruit for us, whether it's with Twisted Metal or with Starhawk or whatever. We need to make relationships with these smaller developers that will bring their games to us. And there's not going to be any rules about it. They can bring them to PC and Xbox and Nintendo, whatever they want to do, but we need these games. And they saw, to their credit, Sony hasn't seen a lot ahead of time, I don't think, in terms, especially in compared to Xbox. Like, Xbox Live is amazingly 13 years old in 2015. That's a really remarkable kind of
old enough to drink.
Yeah, definitely old enough to drink. In Quebec, maybe.
Yeah.
But so
a beer, Moose.
So I give them a lot of credit for being able to see ahead, and it's something that was very significant, which was bolstering their library. And they started doing it on PS3 long before Vita even came out, and now they've hit their stride with PS4. It's just that some people just don't have the want to see what these games are and to enjoy them because they're cheaper. They're not on a disc or whatever. I think that's slowly changing, and so that's going to be their advantage moving forward. But they need to gear up for their first parties. Like a lot of them have been very silent, and it's time to end that silence. And it's not only Bend. It's Santa Monica. It's Guerrilla's other team, which has been rumored to work on a game for years. It's time to show something. Yeah. And I think it would be interesting for them that the things we're forgetting about too, like Quantic Dream's probably working on a PS4 game. Maybe Ninja Theory might be working on a PS4 game, and we saw they are. I mean, they're working on that Heavenly Sword style game.
Devil something.
Yeah, like so.
Yeah, it's the opposite of Heavenly Sword.
Devil Spear,
something like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's a lot of interesting things out there that can happen for PlayStation, but I think it's been a pretty solid year. I think the hardware's awesome.
It's been a solid year for sure. Yeah, for sure it's been a solid year.
The hardware's really, really good.
Yeah.
I think looking back at it, right? Like the one thing I guess I'm not upset about, right, is I find confusing about the first year is that it took so long to catch up to the PS3 in terms of functionality outside of games. The fact that we just got YouTube, the fact there's still no clarity on when we're going to get HBO Go, granted that was a whole rigmarole on PS3 getting it there because of the Xbox exclusivity, but like those little apps that like I was when the PlayStation 3 was plugged in watching YouTube videos on my TV all the time.
Yeah.
And then when I finally was like, great, this is turned off, I'd be like, oh crap, right. And the same thing with my 360 before Xbox One finally got HBO Go, right? Like we had to keep an 360 in the bedroom so that I could watch HBO Go when I wanted to catch up on Game of Thrones or whatever. It's like those little things, even though that's not the point, like they're a games machine. Great, that's what's gotten you to this point.
But the important thing is having it be the thing that is on 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Weird question. So I've been falling asleep to Hulu lately.
Sure.
Can I set my controller to automatically turn off if I don't touch it after a little while? So that's how I had it for PS3.
Yeah, the power save settings.
I don't know.
Because every morning I just wake up and my controller's dead, and I'm like, well, this is dumb.
It's a good question. I don't know. I'm sure there probably must be a way.
Well, they've been slow to add. That's another thing, like another weird thing. Like it was slow to add the ability to dim the light bar. Now you can, but there's other stuff. I'm not sure if there's...
The light bar is so funny, man.
Yeah.
It's like... I was talking to someone about this. The light bar is like the appendix of the PlayStation 4, like because it's not needed, and you can tell that they had an idea for it that they couldn't remove, because it was just too late.
Yeah.
And that if they can go back and do it again, they probably wouldn't put that thing in there at all.
Oh yeah, totally.
It's just funny. It's just like this relic of what PS4 might have been, which was like a more camera focused.
Yeah.
Device
let's keep Move going. Let's keep this be a part of it. Let's bundle the camera with it. Let's give you this out of box Move experience so everybody has Move.
It's just cool in the archaeology of the PS4 of digging through all of the evidence of what happened when they were making this thing. That one is the biggest sign of a different console.
Has anything been released for PSI since PlayStation?
Since Playroom?
God,
I don't think so.
Like
they on 2.0 they made new voice commands that you can use through the eye, but the eye is used for Twitch. Yeah. I mean, that's why no one can. It's funny that they overestimated at first in the development that people would want the camera because of what Kinect was doing, and they obviously reacted to that by removing it. But they underestimated the production of the camera because of Twitch. It's their forecasts were totally wrong, about how popular the camera would be. Yeah. But for different reasons.
That's what I love about. I think it was fascinating to watch Playroom, right? Of this thing, like, oh, you move the guys and everybody immediately just breaks it, so they can just. I'm going to talk into the camera and do it that way, and I don't care about this guy floating around. And rather than be militant about it and try to figure out a way to shut those Twitch streamers down, they flipped it and were like, all right, here's a DLC pack that can just help you do a show and not have a robot floating around your face.
Beep boop.
Beep bop 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 bop. Boop.
That was a well-deserved F-bomb for the robot.
And I'll say it again. I hate that fucking robot.
Users lose all sense of reality and enter another world. Remember, do not underestimate the power of PlayStation.